Celtic may not be flooding the market with new signings right now, and that's been a bit of a talking point among the fans, but there has been at least one fresh face through the door. Just last week, the club secured the services of a young central defender, and while supporters haven't had the chance to see him in action yet, that could all change this Friday when he's expected to make his debut. We're talking about 19-year-old Jermaine Simpson, a promising centre-half who has joined on a season-long loan from Manchester City. Celtic have enjoyed some good luck in recent years when it comes to developing young talents from City, so naturally curiosity is high about what this lad can bring to the team. To get a clearer picture of Simpson Puzzy's abilities and potential, we spoke to Bailey Wynn, a man who knows his City prospects inside and out. Bailey is the founder of Sky. Blue Times, a Manchester City newsletter focused on tactical analysis, and also a voice on the 9320 podcast. He's seen Jermaine up close both in City's first team last season and during his time in the youth squads, so he's in a perfect position to give Celtic fans the lowdown. According to Bailey, Simpson Puzzy's emergence at City was a little unexpected, mostly because he got more minutes than anticipated due to an injury crisis in the centre-back department. Alongside fellow youngster Max Hayne, who's now on loan at Watford, Jermaine was one of the standouts in City's under-21s. Both were comfortable, on the ball, able to carry it forward with composure and mature enough to be seen as leaders in the youth setup. Bailey reckons that moving to Celtic is exactly the kind of step Simpson Puzzy needs at this stage of his career. The young defender, affectionately nicknamed JSP at City, has been part of their setup since the age of 8. His profile only started to grow noticeably last season when he was part of an under-20 Romeo Henry UC 121 side that had a tough campaign compared to the year before. In City's academy, there's been a tradition of dominance with youth teams, often sweeping up trophies alongside the senior squad's success. But Jermaine came through a slightly more challenging spell where the team had to battle against physically stronger opponents. Despite that, he developed impressively enough to earn the Premier League 2 Player of the Season award. That's not handed out lightly. It speaks volumes about his consistency, mental resilience, and technical ability. The Premier League 2, while not watched by huge crowds, is a league full of technically gifted players, especially in the academies of top clubs like City and Chelsea. In that environment, Simpson Puzzy was used to dominating games, always on the ball, and dictating play from the back. That changes dramatically when you step into senior football, where the physical side of the game ramps up. Strikers time their jumps better muscle you in the box, and you got less room to breathe. But Bailey points out that Jermaine handled his first taste of the men's game with maturity, even if he still has areas to grow. His biggest breakthrough came last season when City's defensive injury crisis forced Pep Guardiola to turn to youth. With Stones Ake and others sidelined, Jermaine got the call-up. One of his standout early experiences was a Champions League match against Sporting a game where he was partnered with a makeshift backline and without Rodri shielding the defense. City conceded 4 that night, but Bailey is quick to note that Jermaine wasn't particularly at fault for the scoreline. In fact, he dealt well with Victor Gyökeres, a striker who since made the move to the Premier League and is known for his strength and pace. Jermaine won all his aerial duels and ground duels, apart from one showing a calmness beyond his years. The only thing missing was the same attacking confidence he showed at youth level, but that's normal for a young player making such a big step up. He also appeared in a Premier League match against Brighton, featuring in a side that again wasn't in its ideal shape. Bailey remembers that first half fondly describing Jermaine as having the right mix of bravery on the ball and defensive solidity. For a modern centre-back, especially in teams like City or Celtic that like to dominate possession, being comfortable high up the pitch is key, and Jermaine ticks that box. He's capable of using both feet to pass confident enough to turn under pressure rather than hoof it clear, and likes to thread passes between the lines or hit long diagonals to wingers. In Premier League 2 last season, he and Hayne were joint leaders for progressive carries and total passes, proof of just how central he was to building play. That's part of why Celtic seems like the perfect environment for him. Under Brendan Rodgers, the team is going to dominate most domestic games, play on the front foot, and need centre-backs who can step into midfield with the ball. But Celtic also comes with the pressure of winning every week, the intensity of European competition, and a demanding fan base, all of which will help Jermaine grow the other side of his game resilience under pressure, positionally while he's played. More often on the right of a central defensive pairing, Jermaine is comfortable on the left too. His ability to use both feet means he won't be limited or predictable if deployed there. Most of his long balls will come off his right foot, but he's capable enough on his left to open different passing angles and avoid being pressed into mistakes. Bailey suggests that City wouldn't have agreed to the loan unless they were confident. Jermaine would play regularly, which hints strongly at him being in line to start alongside Cameron Carter-Vickers this season. As for his strengths, Jermaine combines composure on the ball with good defensive instincts. He's strong in the air, reasonably quick, and not easy to muscle off the ball. In Premier League 2, he had an aerial duel success rate of over 85% and a tackle success rate of 75% solid numbers, even if the physical challenge wasn't always as fierce as in senior football. The main question is how quickly he can adapt to the week in, week out demands of facing seasoned professionals. When it comes to weaknesses, there's no glaring flaw in his skill set. It's more about experience and consistency. Bailey points out that young players on loan can sometimes lose confidence if early mistakes aren't handled well. At City last season, the constant injury rotation meant Jermaine didn't get the chance to build momentum in a settled side. At Celtic, the hope, as he'll have the stability to play regularly, learn from any errors, and grow into the role. From City's perspective, the long-term plan is less clear. The club's centre-back department is packed with talent, both established and emerging. John Stones' contract runs out next year. Akanji and Ake could move on, and youngsters like Kusanov and Jadel Katongo are also pushing through. If Jermaine shines at Celtic, he'll put himself in the frame to compete for a spot back at City. But Bailey admits that sometimes a loan move just clicks so well that the player ends up staying put, either by choice or by mutual agreement. Celtic fans should enjoy him while they can, but perhaps not get too attached just in case. And there's a tantalizing subplot. If Celtic make it through their final Champions League qualifier against either Slovan Bratislava or Kairat, they could find themselves in the same group as Manchester City. Imagine the scenes if Jermaine lined up against his parent club, much like Patrick Roberts did years ago, when he even scored against City. Bailey also touched on something that often gets overlooked when fans talk about young defenders: the mental side of stepping into a first team. It's one thing to dominate in youth football, where you know the surroundings, the coaches, and the opposition players, and you're playing in front of a few hundred people at most. It's an entirely different thing to walk out into a packed stadium under bright lights with a game being broadcast to millions, knowing that one slip can change the result and in turn change how you're judged. Jermaine's early experiences at Manchester City came in a season where the club was unsettled, key players were missing, and the backline was patched together match by match. In that kind of environment, a young player has to tread carefully. Do the basics right, avoid trying to be a hero, and focus on not making costly errors. That can sometimes mask the more adventurous side of their game, the side that fans at Celtic Park might see more often once he's comfortable in his new surroundings. Physically, Bailey described him as solid and reliable. He's not a lightning-quick sprinter like Kyle Walker, but he has enough pace to recover when needed and can handle one-on-one situations without being turned easily. His aerial ability is one of his standout traits, which will be a huge asset in Scotland, where set pieces and physical duels are part of the weekly battle. His reading of the game is sharp for his age. He times his jumps well, positions himself to cut out through balls, and doesn't dive in recklessly. These are qualities that aren't flashy, but they make a huge difference in a league where games can turn on a single lapse in concentration. On the ball, Jermaine fits the mold of what both Manchester City and Celtic expect from a central defender. He doesn't just recycle possession, he looks to break lines with his passing. Whether it's slipping a ball between opposition forwards, into midfield, or pinging a diagonal to switch play, he has the range and confidence to attempt it. In the Premier League 2, that was a big part of his game. Always involved in building from the back, always trusted to start attacks. At Celtic, with more experienced players around him and a manager who encourages front foot football, there's every chance he'll regain that attacking swagger. The early weeks will be about settling in, learning his teammates' runs, and getting used to the pace and physicality of the Scottish Premiership. But Bailey seems confident that the foundation is already there. One of the interesting aspects of Jermaine's profile is his versatility across the backline. While naturally a right-sided centre-back, he's played plenty of minutes on the left and doesn't look uncomfortable there. In a Brendan Rodgers system, where defenders are often asked to step into midfield or cover wide areas, that flexibility could prove valuable. His comfort on both feet means opponents can't easily force him onto a weaker side to disrupt his distribution. When pressed, he has the composure to open up his body shield to ball and find a passing angle rather than panicking and clearing it aimlessly. That ability to stay calm under pressure is something Celtic supporters will appreciate, especially in tight European matches where one moment of composure can spring a counterattack. Bailey made it clear that Manchester City are selective about where they send their promising youngsters. A season-long loan to a club like Celtic doesn't happen, unless there's a belief that the player will get regular minutes and be challenged in the right ways. The combination of domestic dominance, European competition, and a demanding fan base makes Celtic an ideal testing ground. If Jermaine can adapt and thrive here, it will prove to City that he can handle the expectations and intensity required at the top level. It also means Celtic fans might be watching a player who's on the verge of breaking into one of the strongest squads in world football. Or if the fit is just right, someone who could be tempted to stay in Glasgow longer. The conversation also turned to the reality of City's centre-back situation. With John Stone's contract running down potential moves for Akanji and Ake and other young talents like Kusanov and Jadel Katongo in the mix, the competition is fierce. Bailey jokingly referred to it as a Hunger Games for central defenders. In that environment, a standout loan spell could push Jermaine ahead of his peers in the pecking order. But equally, it could lead to a crossroads where he has to decide between fighting for a spot at City or continuing his development and possibly his career, somewhere he's already established himself as a key player. Bailey pointed out that players sometimes fall in love with their loan clubs, especially if they find the right City manager and atmosphere. He gave the example of Max Perrone, who went on loan to Las Palmas, loved the style of football and the place itself, and decided he wanted to stay. It's not out of the question that Jermaine could feel the same about Celtic if the season goes well. In terms of weaknesses, Bailey didn't highlight anything alarming. It's more about experience and confidence than any particular flaw in his game. Young defenders can find their form snowballing in either direction. A few good performances can boost their belief and bring out the best in them, while a couple of shaky moments can make them hesitant and overly cautious. That's why stability will be key for Jermaine in Glasgow. Playing alongside a reliable partner like Cameron Carter-Vickers with experienced players around him should give him the platform to grow without feeling like he has to do everything at once. The timing of his move to Celtic could be perfect for both parties. The club has been looking for the right partner for Carter-Vickers, and Jermaine's blend of defensive reliability and on-the-ball ability fits the bill. He'll have the opportunity to test himself in the Champions League qualifiers straight away, and if Celtic get through the group stage, could offer him the kind of high-level experience that accelerates a young player's development. There's even the tantalizing possibility that Celtic could be drawn against Manchester City, putting him in the unique position of facing his parent club in Europe. Bailey mentioned Patrick Roberts as a reminder that these situations can lead to some unforgettable moments. Roberts famously scored against City while on loan at Celtic. Looking further ahead, the season will be a fascinating test of how quickly Jermaine can adapt to the demands of Scottish football. Domestically, Celtic will expect to dominate possession, meaning he'll spend much of his time high up the pitch, needing to be alert to quick counterattacks and long balls over the top. In Europe, the challenge will flip. More defending, more pressure, and less time on the ball. That contrast will be invaluable in rounding out his game. Bailey believes that in both scenarios, Jermaine has the tools to cope. It's just about building the rhythm, understanding his role in Rodgers' system, and developing the chemistry with his defensive partner. There's also the human side of settling into a new club and city. Moving from Manchester to Glasgow is a change in environment, culture, and expectation. Celtic Park, with its unique atmosphere and passionate support, can be an intimidating place to play. But it can also be incredibly inspiring. Young players who embrace that energy often find their game lifted. If Jermaine buys into the club's ethos and the demands of his support, it could be the making of him. Bailey's final point was a reminder not to overlook just how valuable a loan like this can be. For Manchester City, it's a way to test a player in a different environment without committing to a permanent move. For Celtic, it's a chance to get a player with top-level potential without paying a transfer fee. For Jermaine himself, it's a platform, a season to prove he can handle pressure, adapt to new challenges, and deliver consistently. If all goes to plan, Celtic will have a rock-solid partner for Cardiff this season, and City will have a young defender returning with a year of priceless experience under his belt. And in between, the fans might just get to witness the rise of a player whose name, tricky as it might be to fit into a chant, could become one they remember for a long time. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Rumors have been swirling around Glasgow's East End this week, with whispers growing louder that Joe Gomez, the versatile England international, has penned a deal with Celtic. Word on the street says the Hoops have moved quietly but decisively, swooping in to secure the defender from Liverpool in what could be one of the most eyebrow-raising moves of the summer. The Parkhead faithful, starved of a commanding defensive figure since the days of Virgil van Dijk, are already picturing Gomez marshalling the backline in front of a roaring Celtic park, while official confirmation has yet to dribble through. Sources close to both clubs hint the agreement's been signed, sealed, and only awaits a carefully choreographed unveiling. Gomez, still in his prime at 28, is said to have been swayed by the promise of regular first-team football and the lure of European nights under the floodlights. If true, it would mark a statement of intent from Brendan Rodgers, signaling Celtic's ambitions to tighten their grip domestically while making serious inroads in continental competition. Yet, as with all transfer chatter, the truth remains tucked away behind closed doors, leaving fans to piece together clues like detectives in green and white scarves. What's fueling the gossip even further is the talk from Anfield insiders, who claim Gomez's departure was less about him falling out of favor and more about Liverpool reconfiguring their defensive options. The player, known for his composure on the ball and tactical intelligence, was allegedly given the green light to seek a new challenge, and Glasgow's calling proved hard to resist. Brendan Rodgers, who has a history of working with young English talents, is said to have played a direct role in convincing Gomez to trade Merseyside for the Scottish Premiership. The lure of being the central figure in a defensive rebuild appealed to Gomez, who's reportedly keen to shed the utility player tag he's carried in recent years. The murmur among Celtic insiders is that a medical was quietly completed in London, away from prying eyes, with the player slipping north shortly thereafter. Whether this move was in the works for months or a lightning-fast reaction to an opportunity remains unclear, but the possibility has electrified Celtic supporters who've grown weary of transfer links that amount to nothing. This one, they say, feels different, more real, more imminent. In football, timing is everything, and some suggest the timing here suits all parties. Liverpool, fresh from reinforcing their backline with younger options, can cash in on a player whose wages don't reflect his current role. Celtic, sitting atop the league but wary of a late Rangers surge, get a proven Premier League defender just when the season's pressures start to mount. For Gomez, the move could rekindle the form that once had him touted as England's long-term defensive anchor. Glasgow, after all, offers the intensity and scrutiny that sharpens a player's focus, with every match carrying weight. Whispers say he's been spotted house hunting in the city's West End, a favored spot for incoming stars, fueling speculation that the deal's not just probable, but practically done. Yet the club remains tight-lipped, offering the standard "we don't comment on speculation" line. Still, seasoned observers note that such silence often masks negotiations at their final stage, leaving room only for final details and an inevitable scarf-above-the-head photograph: the Celtic dressing room, according to those who claim to have inside knowledge, is already buzzing at the prospect. Gomez brings not just experience, but a calm authority at the back that could free up Callum McGregor and others to play higher up the pitch. His aerial presence, combined with a knack for reading danger early, makes him the sort of defender who can both snuff out counterattacks and build play from deep. Brendan Rodgers, it's believed, has a plan to make him the defensive leader the Hoops have missed for years. While there's talk that European competition next season was a significant pull factor, others say the emotional draw of leading a defense in front of 60,000 passionate Glaswegians was equally persuasive. The narrative fits. A player looking for a new chapter, a club seeking defensive steel, and a fan base desperate for a marquee signing. Yet without official word, all remains tantalizingly unconfirmed. The whispers grow each day, and those in the know insist that when the announcement drops, it'll be framed as a coup that few saw coming, but many now understand. And so the city waits, fueled by barroom debates and social media sleuthing. In Glasgow's pubs, you'll hear punters dissecting Gomez's injury record, weighing the risk against the reward, and arguing whether he's the missing piece for a serious European push. Others reminisce about past English imports who've thrived in the green and white, holding up Virgil van Dijk's Celtic stint as proof that Parkhead can be the perfect platform for a player to reignite a career. Rival fans, of course, scoff, calling it nothing more than paper talk designed to unsettle their own squads. Yet the rumor refuses to die, persisting like a catchy tune you can't shake. Journalists, too, are dancing carefully around the fray. Story, dropping hints in columns without overstepping into outright confirmation. For now, it remains a story of possibility, a tantalizing what if that has set imaginations alight from the East End Tay far beyond the Clyde. Should it come true, Gomez's arrival would be hailed as a bold stroke in a season already brimming with drama. Until then, the chatter continues, each whisper adding another layer to a transfer tale that might just be on the verge of becoming reality. Hello, fan! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.